what it was. Y'all know who it is. And y'all tuned in with priceless knowledge of self. And this right here, this ain't nothing but some cosmic insight. And say, man, I hope everybody feeling well. I hope everybody vibing. Cause I want to ask you where you come from. Who sent you? And I'm not asking you how you got to wherever you sitting at, where you're sitting at right now. Well, kind of. What I'm asking you is, what about your roots? What type of people did you come from? What's a part of the makeup that made you? See, this is all relevant questions, man. And we're going to touch on that a little bit, because this right here, this a little something about those people that were born with Mercury in the 4th house of their natal chart. And see, before I actually go there, if you don't know my style, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to talk a little bit about Mercury. I'm going to bring y'all a little information about the energy that comes along with it and how it might affect you. Then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about what the 4th house of the astrological chart is actually all about. And then after that, we're going to bring it to a climax, a crescendo, which fortunately for you, that's my forte. So without wasting any more time, let's get it cracking. So Mercury. Mercury is named after the winged messenger of the gods, and it most definitely comes into our chart and commands us to speak. And that's because it rules over communication, intellect, intelligence, logic, reasoning, our attitude, as well as our ability to create and express our thought processes. And when something's referred to as having a mercurial nature, the first thing that comes to mind for me is restlessness and motion. And that's because things happen fast with Mercury. And that also makes it all about quick wit, quick thinking, possibilities, opinions, reasoning, and our ability to rationalize shit. And Mercury can be both good and bad, but either way it goes, it's going to be energizing regardless. In this planet, it prompts us to move on from one thing to the next and find answers on both a physical and a psychological level. And hey, Mercury's dexterous and perceptive energy that also rules over short trips, our siblings, transportation in general, reading, speaking, writing, books, online communication, learning. All that shit right there comes under Mercury's domain. And, also understand that Mercury is never more than 28 degrees away from the sun. And, it only takes about 88 days to go through its whole entire orbit. And it's neither feminine nor masculine energetically. It kind of assumes the gender of whatever sign that it's in. And Mercury rules over Gemini and Virgo, as well as the 3rd and the 6th house of the zodiac chart. Now, when we talk about your Mercury sign, we're talking about your basic attitude, your mental habits, your communication style. Now, when we're talking about the house placement of Mercury, this is going to show what area of life that plays out in the most, or what area of life you feel the most comfortable communicating through. So that's something to think about. Now, let's talk about, or it shows what area of life you think about the most too. I just thought about that. Let's talk about the 4th house. The 4th house is ruled by the moon in the sign of Cancer. And it's referred to as the house of family and home. And it's also known as the Nadir, or the IC. And this is the place where we plant ourselves firmly and really lay down our roots into the earth, as it were. And also understand that this is the same place that we'll return, because things are brought full circle back in the 4th, okay? Because the 4th also addresses old age, endings, and our final resting place. And a lot of astrologers don't speak on that. They always just try to incorporate the 8th house with death. No, you can find death a lot of places in astrology. That's why it can't be predicted. Best believe, man. But even beyond that, man, this house also can speak to our relationship with our mother and our family, or at least our least dominant parent. And it shows what went on in our parental home. So that's something else that's worth paying attention to. And, the 4th can also represent our actual house or any real estate that we might own or come to acquire. So there's something else. And the IC, this is all about our family. This is all about our history, our traditions, which all contribute to building the actualized and individualized self. Okay. And that right there, that's a sense of home in its highest form. And any planets right here, they show how we feel internally. They show what energy that we have to work with in a domestic sense. They show what might have went on in our parental home and what might go on in our home later on. So this is crucial. This is the cardinal house of the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th too. So remember that. Now, it's a karmic house too. Most water houses talk about the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th. They refer to karma. And we'll talk about that later on. But yeah. So when we talking about putting Mercury in the 4th house, hey man, this one right here could actually mean a lot of shit. I mean, this one right here could mean a lot of shit, because you have Mercury in the house of Cancer and, the moon. And so, for instance, this right here could suggest that they have a house that's full of books, Or it could just show that their home has a genuine intellectual feel to it right here, man. It could also say that they come from really smart parents, or one or both of their parents had strong Gemini or Virgo placements. Hey, it could mean that they come from a really intellectual family all the way around, where learning, communication were really emphasized. It could mean that they spend a lot of time thinking about their family or thinking about home. Or it could even mean that they moved a lot. Hey, man, this right here, it could mean that they're emotional thinkers, or, that they think a lot about their emotions. Hell, it probably means all of that shit, to be honest, man. It probably means all that shit and even more. But the thing about things like that is they had to come from somewhere, right? Something like that, it had to come from somewhere. That's the thing. And, indeed it did. Cause as I was kind of hinting at a second ago, man, this placement right here, it lets me know that these people's parents and the things that went on in their parental home, they had a really big influence on the way that they think. Okay. It really helped formulate their way of thinking. And they probably hold their traditional family values really near and dear to their heart. But I will also say that if Mercury happens to be afflicted right here, or, receiving a lot of harsh aspects, this right here, it can make some things with a person end up kind of being messed up to where they're very, very narrow thinkers, because the same things that helped them before it was afflicted kind of hinder them now, because now they're in a family that, might be preaching some things that might necessarily not be so progressive. Okay. Some things that might actually be oppressive. And so when you have those type of things being taught in your family, and you really hold those values near and dear to your heart, it's not so beautiful, is it? And, either way it goes with that, man, afflicted or not, man, the value system of these people's family right here, their family's value system is going to be everything to them. And it's going to have a lot of influence on the decisions that they make. Okay. And hey, I've also seen that a lot of folks right here, their work life and their home life are somehow intertwined with this one. So it's not unusual that you'll see folks, taking up their family business, or, chasing after the same career that their parents had, or even working from home too, like myself. Okay. I don't have this placement, but I identify. And actually I have the opposite of this placement. I have Mercury in the 10th. And hey, man, don't forget that the fourth also governs real estate too, like I was kind of saying a second ago as well. So this might have some implications on something that they might be interested to. And that's interesting to me. That's interesting to me. Fourth house Mercury, it also tells of a rich imagination. It definitely does. But the Mercury sign will actually kind of describe exactly what kind of imagination they have. Because, for example, a Mercury in Aquarius, they're going to have a lot of original and innovative and ingenious ideas. And sometimes the shit that they're thinking of will shock people. I mean, that's what it is. But hey, man, a Mercury in Pisces, their stuff might be a little more dreamy and a little more centered around fantasy and escaping this reality altogether. Okay. It might not be ideas. And then, you have a Mercury in Sagittarius whose stuff might be more philosophical or more adventurous in type of their mind. So just remember to consider all that shit right there too, because that's something that's definitely relevant. And moving on, let me also keep it 1,000 and let it be known that, hey, man, these motherfuckers right here, they can have a lot of issues with getting stuck in the past sometimes. And not only that, they usually ain't real excited by new shit or making sudden changes either. Matter of fact, man, you better be careful, because you liable to get cussed out putting something up like that, man. If you try to upset the apple cart with them, man, it could get a pretty emotional reaction. Okay. Because the emotions are going to be involved with the mind here, right here. This is quicker. And switching lanes again, don't forget that, the nadir. This is the indication of our roots and our heritage. So, putting Mercury in the mix right here, it indicates that this is somebody who really appreciates the customs and the values that they come from. And they probably think about that shit a lot. I mean, they probably think a lot about their family. And if this is your placement, might I suggest, you consider looking up your family lineage or getting your little Ancestry 23 and all that done. And, maybe even writing a book about it, or, maybe getting getting together with your family and starting a podcast about family values or something, because with this one, you know, all of that would be something that will probably pay off dividends and end up being something that's beautiful, man. And, you know, probably with your family, with this placement, all of y'all are probably smart too, and probably excellent communicators too. And y'all probably all love to talk. Y'all probably all love to talk, you know, and even if it ain't like that, let me say that just getting together with your family and learning about your roots, this could be everything to y'all. I mean, everything to y'all. And also know that I haven't encountered too many fourth house Mercury people who weren't inherently fascinated by the past or good at history in school. Okay. And I also ain't seen many of them, you know, who didn't, you know, have absolute excellent memories. Like, hey, man, their memory be photographic and on point, which, you know, that's kind of surprised a little bit. It shouldn't be a surprise at all. It shouldn't be a surprise at all. Not even the slightest bit. The more that I think about that, because, you know, the moon represents the subconscious, okay, and the past in astrology. And, you know, Mercury here, you know, it becomes extremely retentive doing this right here when you're mixing Mercury with the moon, and it becomes focused on the past. You know, and, you know, maybe even so focused on it that, you know, in some cases they can't focus on anything else. But that's not a lot of cases. Okay. A lot of times you can just help them out. And that's just arenas of experience that you can look into. Okay. And, you know, just remember to find balance. Okay. Because you will never be able to move forward in life effectively, you know, without stumbling, especially while you're looking backwards. You just can't do it. But hey, even if you can, and even if you don't believe a word I just said, even if it don't play out for you like that, just because you built like that, you don't have to build like that. And what I mean is, we all have all this energy available to us. What you do with it is what you do with it. And even beyond that, it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. And what I mean by that right there is, hey, this is some priceless knowledge in itself, and you need to be hitting that like button right now. Not right now. We're going to take it to the south right now. Hit that like button and fuck with me one time. You know what I'm saying? If not for anything else, just because I made you smile for today. And hey, I want to thank everybody for the love and support. If you are interested in any astrological readings whatsoever, you can either hit me up in the comments below, or you can email me at mr.turner1300@gmail.com. This has been a pleasure. This has been an absolute pleasure. Okay. And hey, y'all keep it real till next time, because that's all I know how to do.